Hello my beautiful fume heads, it's your scent gourmand Trina here today, and welcome back to the channel. Let's just dive right in and hopefully you'll be able to hear my pithy reviews, hopefully pithy, of a brand that I enjoy swooning over, and that is Byredo. Byredo. I have 6 wee ampules here of the stuff, small quantities, yes, and I want to cover all of them in this video so that I don't have to be worried about liberally using them up, which is what I've been wanting to do for a while. And indeed this one here is already almost done, but I do have some more of that one. A little background. The House of Byredo was founded by Ben Gorham in 2006 in Stockholm, but a few years later Gorham sold a majority stake in the company to London-based investment firm Manzanita Capital, which has invested in companies such as Diptyque, a personal favorite of mine. Perfumer Jérôme Epinette has created quite a few fragrances for Byredo. In 2020, the company collaborated with IKEA to create a line of candles for their line called, I think it's pronounced Osynlig, which is Swedish for invisible. And apparently the collection of 13 scented candles were designed to provoke emotions like nostalgia or dreams and heighten the experience of being at home. How hyggelig! Well, that's a Danish concept, but close enough, very Scandi. I first came across Byredo back in the 2010s, I believe. I was in a wee boutique in the duty-free section of Pearson Airport in Toronto while in transit returning to Japan. I had lots of time to spare, and so I went to a lot of the perfume places from different brands. Tax-free shopping. The prices were so much better then. Byredo had just a wee pop-up store at the time, and I sniffed a few of their fragrances, but ultimately did not spend too much of my time there because I was much more interested in a large lineup of Tom Ford fragrances nearby. But I was taken by the company's branding. I do appreciate the minimalist Scandi design and the black and white and the distinctive bottles. And I do remember sniffing Byredo's bestseller at the time, at least I think it was, and it probably still is, which is Bal d'Afrique. Interestingly, I remember not being overly impressed, but my tune on that one has since dramatically changed. Okay, so I have 6 fragrances from the brand, and I'll talk about them in my personal order of preference, spending more time, no doubt, on the ones I like more. And yes, Bal d'Afrique is indeed my favorite of the 6 12 ml bottles I currently own. This is actually my second travel size bottle of the juice, and it's almost empty. Ounce for ounce, or milliliter per milliliter, interestingly. These 12 milliliter size flasks are actually cheaper on Mercari, which is my online secondhand shop of preference, than the other full-size bottles. And one possible reason for this, I suspect, is that Byredo is using these large sampler or travel sprays in a promotional way here in Japan, and then people who got them decided they didn't want or need them, I guess. I don't know. But I'm certainly okay with paying relatively less for a small amount than the usual more, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Good price per volume, basically, for these little guys. I think I bought one of these in a 3-pack and then the others individually, if memory serves. But you know what? I had some old friends from Canada stay over for a few days a few months ago, and I guess I must have dropped in a Zoom session or something sometime earlier because my friends surprised me with a very generous gift, an entire 50 ml bottle, here you go, of this lovely juice, Bal d'Afrique. And I've been saving this until this video, which is finally here, and you can bet this wee flask, this little guy here, is going to be gone basically today. And I'll be soon emptying this one within the month, potentially. I love this stuff, yes. So Bal d'Afrique is an aromatic citrus woody EDP that came out in 2009. It's extremely pleasant. It's a daytime appropriate and seasonless fragrance in my opinion. And it smells so lovely and modern, and it's so versatile. I'm willing to bet a fair bit of money that many people have declared this their signature scent. It's so easy to wear and causes no offense, and yet at the same time, it's far from boring, I think. Jérôme Epinette is the nose. Yes, the same guy that made those pistachio fragrances from Zara I reviewed recently, unless I'm confusing my Epinettes, but I don't think so. I did say Zara was upping its game, did I not? Inspiration for this fragrance came from Ben Gorham's memories of reading his father's African travel memories. So the fragrance is an ode of sorts to Africa, how African art and music and culture has impacted European culture. Here are the notes. I think this fragrance is an example of perfect harmony, where the main notes are given space to shine. There's a soft fruitiness, the florals, slight sweetness and musky woodiness. They're all so well balanced, and they just make me at least feel happy and giddy. It's fresh, it's calming, it's soothing. At the same time, it's harmoniously creamy, woody, earthy, and incredibly comforting, actually. It's a deep and genuine feeling platonic embrace. There's no haughtiness, no pretense. It's uncomplicated and uncluttered. Your kind, anxiety-free, fresh-faced friend telling you that everything is or is going to be okay. It's minimalistic and unpretentious, yet very refined and classy, but better with jeans and a t-shirt type of vibe. And I really enjoy the vetiver in here. It makes it very unisex, and it blends well with the presumably more tropical African florals. Although, to be honest, I never would have associated this with Africa. It's easy for me to understand why this became apparently an it girl fragrance, whatever that means, a few years back, and why it was so hyped, which I believe it was. And also why it continues to sell well. It's your skin but better type of fragrance. And I think a lot of Byredo fragrances do follow the same sort of vibe as this. Bal d'Afrique is beautiful, but it's not flawless. First and foremost, like the other Byredo fragrances I've tried so far, this is not exactly bang for your buck. The performance is subpar, even for a bottle at half the retail price, in my humble opinion. It's also quite linear at the start, which is fine, but when it does morph, the bright of the fragrance is not replaced by a great deal that holds my interest. The dry down, if I'm honest, is a little generic and even soapy. And again, I think that applies to their other fragrances. But that opening, oh my goodness, is lovely. And thankfully, the opening and some of the heart notes do last a few hours when you spray this liberally, but it's still very ephemeral. Maybe that's part of its beauty. I find that this is one of those fragrances that you forget you're wearing, and then you suddenly catch a whiff of yourself during some random turn you make while sitting at your desk, for example. And that whiff is enough to paste a grin on your face and pull your wrist up to your nose to get more. Much as I do like the way this smells, I probably won't be purchasing a bottle for myself. I'm very happy I was gifted it though, when this one is done. And that's due to the lack of payoff per unit of my moolah spent, or potential moolah spent. Yeah, I don't mind dishing out a lot of money on a fragrance I'm in love with, and I do love this, but it has to have decent longevity, projection, and sillage as well for me to repurchase at this price point. It also has to have no possible substitutes, which for better or for worse, this fragrance does have. I'll talk about one in an upcoming video, and maybe I'll link that video up here or down below in the description box when it comes out. Okay, so it's time to move on to my second love from Byredo, which is Mohave Ghost, which is also a beauty, and I appreciate it immensely. It's a widely popular bestseller too, but sadly again, the performance is ghostly with this one, word choice intended. I find it much more barely there than Bal d'Afrique even. Now the Ghost, launched in 2014, is a soft, clean, fresh, and elegant scent with a white musk base, lightly woody dry down, and fabric softener-like freshness. It's non-offensive and will appeal to those of you who like airy fragrances. This one, like Bal d'Afrique, works well in hot weather and might get lost in cooler weather, I feel. I enjoy this one more at work and during the day, but I also enjoy it chilling at home or casual outings, and I've gone through almost half of it. Used it sparingly. I do enjoy this one. It's nice after a shower, and it's one of those fragrances that you can enjoy when working out even. It's really airy, and so is Bal d'Afrique, yeah? It's personally, I tend to use cheaper fragrances to freshen up my drapes and linens, but if money is no object to you, darlings, this will work really well for that as well. Here are the notes. Okay, I admit I'm not familiar with the smell of or taste of sapodillas, but apparently they're a fruit tasting somewhat like molasses that's found in tropical climates, particularly and appropriately in Mexico. And as such, you would think that this fragrance would be warm, but no, I think it smells a little dry, like the desert, cold and translucent, like a ghost. On second thought, I could equally imagine being in a garden after the rain smelling this. So is it dry or is it wet? Not 100% sure, but I am certain that there is some ISO Super E or Super ISO E in here too, adding to that come and go there and then not there quality of the fragrance. That diaphanous quality adds to the distinctiveness of Mohave Ghost. I think it's pleasantly calming and gentle, and it feels like a soft, ethereal embrace when I wear it. It doesn't command attention, but it can certainly get it, and it's very unique. But it's light. Too light and not long-lasting enough for me to go anywhere near justifying that price point. So I won't be buying a full bottle of Mohave Ghost, I think, anytime soon, much as I really appreciate this one. Yeah, it's really nice. Maybe someday. Okay, my third favorite from the brand is Gypsy Water. Let's spray this over here. Yeah, wow. Okay, so this one is absolutely lovely too. It was released in 2008 or 2008, and at one point it was the brand's bestseller, I think, but I'm not sure if that's still the case now because it was a while back. It's also dry, it's also summery, it's a herbal forest gorgeous type scent. Not as unique as the first two, but the magic with this one is the opening. So here are the notes. Yeah, I feel like it's midsummer night in Norway or Sweden or something, and I'm very young and just frolicking about with the boy that I like. So I don't know how good or bad that accent was, but I know that my dad is in fact Norwegian, at least at birth, so I come by it honestly. All right, so there's a soft sweetness to this, and I don't know where it's coming from. Surely not the citrus, the pepper, or the conifer collection there. It must be the vanilla. With help from the amber at the base perhaps. And I've read that some people get lemon pound cake vibes at the top of this fragrance, but I don't feel like this scent. Well, it is sweet. Is it? A little, maybe. I don't know, but it smells great. Yeah, some people get that lemony pound cake with it, but I don't feel this is a gourmand. It's creamy though. One thing that's notable about it is it's very natural to me. I don't feel it's very synthetic. I don't mind synthetic fragrances, but honestly, this smells natural. It is less unisex, a little more feminine leading. So, and I tend to appreciate fragrances that are less traditionally feminine, not necessarily masculine, but I do like the unisex vibe of fragrances. Anyway, this fragrance is definitely on line with the brand's minimalist aesthetic, as are the other two I mentioned so far. Oh, it's really nice. It's got a genuine earthiness to it, and it's very casual, not for tuxes or party frocks, although whatever moves you, I suppose. But to me, this is an outdoorsy, jeans and tee appropriate, maybe a jacket actually. It floats easily from summer into fall season, I should say. Now, sadly, after those top notes die down, the fragrance doesn't really offer as much. It even has a slightly acrid chemical cleaner scent in its wake, which I don't mind at all. I think it smells lovely, but others might have a problem with that. And too bad, basically, the main phase is so bloody fleeting. Honestly, and very sadly, a full bottle is not worth the price point. Sorry, Byredo. Again, though, this is a beautiful daytime and summery fragrance for the most part, and I've just realized that this is what I appreciate about Byredo, because usually my taste in fragrance is for scents that are deeper, darker, oriental, cool weather and nighttime appropriate. But my Byredo fragrances here are just the opposite, and yet they smell amazing to me. And perhaps that's because they're not generic florals, which I simply don't like, and they're very unisex, which I do like. Okay, moving on to the fourth fragrance today, which is Super Cedar. You would not be wrong in assuming that this one is also outdoorsy. Here are the notes. Now that is minimalistic. So minimalistic, though, that you might define it more as an aroma rather than a fragrance, if you know what I mean. So cedar is basically what I get here, and the edges are softened up with rose and calmed and fixated with just a slight tinge of vetiver and musk, and I can only pick up traces of the stuff. It's very simple, and I would only recommend it to those of you who love cedar as much as I do, although still it's soft and gentle as far as fragrances go. This one is a little bit synthetic. In fact, yeah, I would say it's a synthetic cedar. So if you like natural woods, then maybe stay clear. And this one it's very sporty and probably the most masculine leading of my 6 fragrances. It's very casual, and the performance on this one it's not terrible compared to the others, but it does stay close to the skin. And the cedar, as I said, is synthetic, but yeah, that price point is... Okay, and now to the last fragrance of my Byredo lineup, which is Blanche, meaning white. So like the other ones I have, this one was a blind buy, and the only real miss for me, if I'm honest, it's probably due to the slight floral and aldehydic note component of it. I'm not a fan of aldehydes, and I'm not a fan of florals either, so there you go. But I mean, it's not unpleasant. It is pleasant. I will wear it. I've got half a bottle left. It's just not my vibe. But anyway, here are the notes. So Blanche is a very clean, floral, laundry fresh fragrance with relatively gentle aldehydes. It's feminine and floral and a wee bit more complex than the typically minimal scents, I feel. And this is also hot weather friendly and more appropriate for daytime. You know, it's really challenging to talk about in depth a fragrance that you don't find off-putting or you don't find anything particularly wrong with it, but there's nothing that floats your boat either. So I'll just leave it at this. If you're a fan of clean, slightly soapy, fresh fragrances, this is for you. But you know, all of these fragrances are kind of fresh and clean, so it's kind of a bad description to separate it. It's a bit generic, I'll put it at that. So if you like that kind of thing, go for it. Get your nose on all these Byredo fragrances, is my opinion, because they are lovely, but they're expensive and they don't last long. Ugh, that's a really bad negative point, which is a shame because I really love these smells. Okay, it's nighttime at this instance in time, and I added this section of my video happening right now because I forgot, and then of course remembered, that I had a 7th travel size vial from Byredo that I had left in one of my bags, which is odd for me because I'm pretty good at not leaving stuff in bags when I change them out. But anyway, it's Black Saffron from Byredo, launched in 2012. And this one has to steal the show and come in 3rd over Gypsy Water, not because I think it's objectively better smelling, but because I tend to gush over the use of saffron in fragrance, and because this one performs better. And also because it ticks my own fragrance box automatically by being a spicy oriental. I think it's the only one out of the Byredo fragrances that I own that also reads more for evening time, and it's also cooler weather appropriate. Hence why I found it in my little Louis Vuitton clutch, which I most often carry out for evenings. So what's in Black Saffron other than the saffron? Well, here you go. Oh my God. So this is a delicious mix of leather infused with raspberry essence and then absolutely drenched with saffron. It's sweet and rich, but still manages to stay airy. And the juniper and vetiver do a fantastic job of lending a bite to the composition that keeps it balanced. It's not cloying and it's not particularly youthful either. This is more grown up, more sensual, and it can definitely be worn by any gender. It does lean masculine, I think. Probably another reason why I like it. It's great for wearing in bars because it has this speakeasy quality to it. And yeah, there's a hint of ashtray in here, which might put some people off, but not moi. This has a bit of debauch going on for sure, but nothing indolic or raunchy about it. If you like Tom Ford's Tuscan leather, you might like this, but Mr. Ford's performance is on a different level than Byredo. And this one is also less complex, but brighter and softer. I love the way the notes work together in here. It's quite exquisite. If you don't like leather, of course, you're not going to like this, because that is like, I guess, the main binding force in this fragrance. The only negatives for me here are the relative performance and, of course, the price point, which is the same for all Byredo fragrances, at least the ones that I know of. And by the way, if you know of a Byredo fragrance that really performs like a Tom Ford, please let me know in the comments. I'll probably blind buy that potentially. Okay, back to what I recorded earlier. So to summarize, Val d'Afrique, Mohave Ghost, and to a lesser extent Gypsy Water are definitely worth one's time. They're all light, lovely, and optimistic feeling fragrances. If my wallet were fatter, I would buy all of them right away despite their crap performance. Super Cedar and Blanche also smell nice, but they're a wee too generic for a niche brand in my opinion, so I can't recommend those. Okay, my lovelies, time to end. I'm heading off to Malaysia fairly soon for a conference and a visit to a friend, so you can bet that these little vials are all coming with me if I don't finish them before then, because they're good for the warm weather, as I said. So anyway, that's it. Subscribe, ring my bell, thumb me up, and comment below whether you agree with my opinions or not. I appreciate your engagement, darlings. Smell you later. Mwah. Scent Gourmand signing out. Bye.